Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Lygia Gare sat in the quiet solitude of her apartment, the weight of her emotions heavier than the silence that surrounded her. The light from the streetlights outside filtered through her curtains, casting shadows across her face as she stared out the window. How could she have been so foolish? How could she have allowed herself to fall for someone like Grant Ellis? The words still echoed in her mind, his voice telling her that he loved her, that he could see a future with her. During their fantasy suite date, he had promised her everything. She had believed him. She had believed in them. And now all of that had been shattered in an instant. She picked up her phone, glancing at the screen to see yet another text from a friend, asking how she was doing. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, but she couldn't bring herself to respond. What could she say? That she was a wreck, that she had trusted a man who had ultimately played her, that she had allowed herself to fall for a lie. It wasn't just that Grant had chosen Juliana over her, it was the way he had done it. The way he had made her feel special, like she was the one. She had always prided herself on being tough, on guarding her heart, but Grant had broken through her defenses. She had let herself be vulnerable, and now she had to deal with the consequences. But what hurt the most was the realization that Grant might never truly care for her. She had been a pawn in his game, a way for him to experience the excitement of being desired without the responsibility of real commitment, and now she had to come to terms with that. She closed her eyes, trying to push the tears back. She would not let herself cry. Not again. Not for him. Grant Ellis sat in the small cafe, staring down at the half-drunk coffee in front of him. His mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. On the one hand, he was engaged to Juliana, the woman he had chosen, the one he believed he could spend his life with. But on the other hand, there was a nagging feeling in the pit of his stomach, a sense that something wasn't right. It wasn't that he didn't care about Juliana, he did in his own way. But the truth was, his relationship with her had never felt as intense as the one he had shared with Lygia. He had felt something real with Lygia, something deep and meaningful. But he had also felt something similar with other women throughout the season. His behavior, his inability to make a choice, had led him down this path, and now he was engaged to a woman he didn't quite know how to love. He had always prided himself on being a nice guy. He wasn't the typical bachelor, the one who played the field, the one who kept women at arm's length. But as the season had gone on, he had begun to question whether he was really the person he thought he was. Had he been manipulating the situation to get what he wanted? Had he been so focused on his own desires that he hadn't considered the consequences of his actions? He ran a hand through his hair, feeling the weight of his choices pressing down on him. He had promised Leah everything, and now he had to face the fact that he had broken her heart. He had never intended to hurt her, but he had. And now, as he sat here, trying to figure out his next move, he wondered if he was destined to make the same mistakes over and over again. The door to the cafe opened, and Juliana walked in, her smile lighting up the room. She was beautiful, confident, and everything he had ever thought he wanted. But as she approached him, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Was he making the right choice? Could he really spend the rest of his life with someone like Juliana when he had left so much of himself behind with Lygia? Juliana Pasquarosa had always been the type of woman who exuded confidence. On the outside, everything about her seemed perfect. She was beautiful, successful, and poised. But as she sat down across from Grant, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She had never been one to doubt her decisions. She had known from the moment Grant had proposed that he was the one for her. But now, as she looked at him, she noticed the hesitation in his eyes, the uncertainty that she had never seen before. It was almost as if he wasn't sure about their future together. "Grant," she said softly, her voice tinged with concern. "What's going on? You seem distant." Grant looked at her, his expression conflicted. He wanted to tell her the truth, that he was struggling, that he had doubts, that he wasn't sure if he was making the right choice. But he couldn't.
"I'm fine,"
He had already
he
made
said,
his decision,
forcing a smile.
and he had to live
Just
with it. Tired, I guess. Juliana studied him for a moment, her brow furrowing. She wasn't sure what was going on, but she could sense that something wasn't right. She had seen the way he had looked at Lydia, the way he had acted toward her. And now, sitting here, she couldn't ignore the feeling that she was being lied to. "Grant," she said, her voice firm. "I know you, and I know when something's bothering you. Please talk to me." Grant hesitated for a moment before letting out a sigh. He wanted to tell her everything, the confusion, the doubts, the guilt he felt over hurting Lydia. But he couldn't bring himself to do it. He didn't want to hurt her, too. "I just need some time to think," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Juliana's expression softened, but there was a hint of frustration in her eyes. She wasn't used to being kept at arm's length, especially by someone she was supposed to marry. But she also knew that Grant had been through a lot, and that the pressure of being on a reality show and having his emotions put on display for the world to see couldn't be easy. "I understand," she said finally, though her voice betrayed a hint of sadness. "But I want us to be like this, Grant. I want us to be real. I want us to be honest with each other." Grant nodded, though deep down, he wasn't sure if he could ever be truly honest with her, or with himself. The days following the finale were a blur for Lydia. She had been thrust into the spotlight, forced to face the world and her heartbreak at the same time. Every interview, every appearance, felt like a painful reminder of what she had lost. The questions came fast and furious, each one asking her about Grant, about their relationship, about how she felt now that the dust had settled. At first, she had tried to put on a brave face. She had smiled through the interviews, answered the questions with grace, and tried to move on. But the truth was, she was still struggling. She hadn't expected the pain to linger this long. She had thought that by now she would be able to move forward, to heal. But she hadn't. Not yet. And then there were the messages. Endless messages from fans, from strangers, from people who had watched her journey and wanted to offer their support. Some were kind, others were harsh, but most of them asked the same question. How could she have trusted Grant? Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, do not forget to subscribe to my channel and do not miss any update.